Just an indication where we are right now as it relates to the people who are in Donald Trump's cabinet and how far we've gone with the racist, bigoted members of his cabinet, or just people who are unqualified. And one of those is that who's been nominated for a very significant position. His name is Jeremy Carl, and he had to face a Senate Foreign Relations Committee last week because he has been nominated to serve in the cabinet as the Assistant Secretary of State for International Organizations. And according to reports, that role involves managing relationships and policies toward the United Nations and its agencies. And that means that this person would have to deal with very diverse people. And does that even matter? It does matter somewhat. But this is the kind of person, the kind of people, he is indicative of the kind of people that this administration is putting into leadership roles. Jeremy Carl is a bigot, is a racist. And if you don't believe me, then I will let you listen to some of what he said during this hearing, which were questions about some of the comments that he's made publicly, some of them on social media that he has erased. But I will start. This one is with Senator Chris Murphy, and he's questioning him about his racist comments in the past. Here it is.
One of the things you have said is that anti-white discrimination is the most pervasive and politically salient form of racism today. So do you continue to believe that anti-white discrimination is more salient than the discrimination faced today by blacks, Latinos, Muslims, or other American groups?
Well, Senator, thank you for that question. And thank you also for giving me an opportunity to speak at a little bit of length. I haven't necessarily had much opportunity to respond.
I'm going to have at least one more question.
So just so you know, he does that with every single question. Every time he's questioned about something, he doesn't answer. And then he says the same thing over, and maybe to eat up time, the person's time, so that he runs out the clock. But keep going.
For you, so I'll give you a minute or two to respond.
Yes. So thanks to the great work of my friend Harmeet Dillon as the Assistant Attorney General of Civil Rights, I actually think that we've done an incredible job in this administration of getting rid of certain policies that discriminate particularly against white Americans, but also in some cases Asian Americans.
Well, just maybe answer my question. Let's rewind. Because maybe you'll suggest that everything is fine now. Let's rewind a year.
Okay, pause right there. Okay, so again, he's thanking someone in the department or whatever who is also questionable, has questionable beliefs on race and all of this stuff. And at the, I don't know, with the leadership of whatever, I don't know if you would call that leadership, but anyway, he's not answering the question, and Chris Murphy is going to try to get him to stick with the correct answer or the answers to the question that he's asking, rather than him trying to obfuscate. Keep going.
A year ago, were white Americans the most discriminated against group in the United States? You said it. So
yeah.
Senator,
no, certainly this is my belief. I'm not running away from that. I think that while, of course, all races in different contexts can be subject to really severe discrimination, that when we look at our legal structures, white Americans are often very disfavored in overt ways. We're seeing this in the Small Business Administration, many other places.
So your belief is that white Americans face more discrimination, at least prior to the Trump administration fixing this, than black Americans?
On average, Senator, yes, that's correct, and I'm not running away from that statement at all.
Pause. He believes that white Americans face more discrimination than African Americans, than Latinos, than Asian Americans, than Indian Americans, than that white Americans. And he says, under the great leadership of someone at the civil rights. The people who started civil rights and whoever started the civil rights part of the Department of Justice are probably, if they're not with us any longer, turning in their graves, saying this is not what civil rights is about. And first of all, what he's saying is bullshit. And it is, in fact, racist. Keep going.
You have made several statements about your worry regarding the erasure of white culture in America. I understand Irish American culture. I understand Italian American culture. I maybe don't understand white culture as well. Tell me the values, the white values that you believed are being erased by the current American government or prior American.
Pause. Before he answers that, now I want you to remember if you look back at the history of this country, Italian Americans, Irish Americans, and Jewish Americans were not considered white. So it's not, he's talking about white culture, which is not really an ethnicity. White is not an ethnicity. Either you can be Italian American, Irish American, European American, Indian American, Asian American, but it's not, there's no like just white. Keep going.
Senator, thank you for that question. I would say that it's not, I didn't use the word values, I used the word culture. I think that anytime you have large degrees of mass immigration, you're going to have a change in culture, especially if they're coming from culturally dissimilar backgrounds. And no matter what group it is, if it were in China, it would be the same thing. If it were in New Guinea, it would be the same thing.
Yeah, but tell me about what that means. I mean, culture is values, right? It's expressions of identity. Tell me what is being erased. I mean, give me some examples of what you believe are being erased about white identity. What is white identity?
What is? Yeah, good question. Stop. So, what is being erased? Like, what is it? What's white that's being erased? Like, and what is white culture? Is that what kind of food? What kind of food is it? What kind of music is? What is white culture? Go on,
Senator. Thank you for that.
Tell me how it's different than other identities.
Senator, I think the question of identity is something that lots of scholars
I guess you can do a sermon on identity, but just tell me how you define white identity and what you think is being erased about white identity.
Senator, it would have, thank you again for the question, and genuinely thank you for finally letting me have a chance to explain.
I told him he keeps doing this. He keeps doing it. Go ahead.
My comments a little bit, but I would say that, they could be things like going to a certain type of Christian church and that sort of culture, which is very different. I mean, you can all be Christians, right, in a certain environment, but African-American Christians might worship differently than Chinese Christians that might worship differently than white Christians. Of course, sometimes you have multi-ethnic churches, but things like that, certain types of
Can you pause, please? Well, in church, aren't you supposed to be, like, what does that mean? You're supposed to be worshiping God, which is a dark-skinned Jew, or if Christianity is your religion. So what is it? Whites somehow worship different than blacks, and the fact that he is separating the churches into ethnicity by saying blacks and Anglo and whatever, what does the black church have to do with the white church if they're not impinging on the white church? Like, the black church folks at the black church aren't going over to the white church and saying you got to change something about the way you worship. He's making no sense, and he can't really explain it. Keep going.
Derived culture that comes from our history.
Like what?
Let me think about this. Senator, I would say if you were to look at the book by one of your former Senate colleagues, Born Fighting, about the sort of Scotch-Irish military culture and certain, pride that went with that, that would be one example. Obviously, you could have sub-elements of that culture. You could have Italians, you could have Irish, and those are in many ways more
but you're worried about white culture. You're not worried about, you're now retreating to ethnic identity. You don't speak about ethnic identity. You speak about white identity. So tell me the values that stitch together white identity and that make it different than black identity.
Senator, again, thank you for
spent a lot of time talking about this and writing about this. You're struggling with this.
He is struggling.
But you should be fairly easily, I would assume, able to tell us your thoughts on how white identity is different than other kinds of identity and how it's being erased.
Senator, again, thank you for the question. I'm just trying to be I'm just trying to be very precise. Because I'm here in front of.
So he keeps doing that because he's again trying to run out the clock because he can't really explain it other than it's racist. Other than him saying that white culture, he thinks that white culture is best, whatever that means, whatever he means by white culture, which he hasn't really explained, and that he thinks that other people, other ethnicities in this country are somehow infringing on white culture. And the only explanation to that is that he is saying that white culture is best and that's what should happen in America. And that's how white people are being discriminated against. But he's not offering any evidence because he keeps getting caught in his own illogical circle. Keep going.
Committee. I would say that the white church is very different than the black church in terms of its tone and style on average.
What does that have to do with anything? With different than tone on average. What does it have to do with anything? They're not marching on the white church saying, hey, we want to come in as black church and we want to take over your church. No one is saying that. So white people can go to church and they can worship however they want. He makes no sense, but yet he is being nominated. And the administration has had the audacity to nominate someone like Jeremy Carl. Keep going.
Foodways could often be different.
Food.
Yeah.
And those
music,
are being erased.
Music could be different.
And those are being erased.
Music could be different. Well, if you look at the Super Bowl halftime show, which was not in English this year.
Wow. So our ability to access white churches or white food or white music is being erased?
Senator, again, thank you for the question. What I would say is the biggest thing, because actually, contrary to many of the comments that have been shown, racial nationalists have been very, very critical of my work because they correctly say that I'm actually, of course, not a racial nationalist, which I'm not.
Pause.
I'm
a racial nationalist. But go on.
Nationalist. I am concerned with the majority common American culture that we had for some time that through particularly mass immigration, I think has become much more balkanized, and I think that weakens us. And again, I'm not running away from that comment. I'm not apologizing for it.
Well, I'm way over my...
By saying that, he is saying, again, it's become balkanized and it weakens us. He's saying that white culture makes us strong and that is the best culture. And we should be all somehow part of that culture. Like the other cultures are secondary or should not even be there. Okay, keep going.
I think you're struggling to answer this question, right? Because
yes.
Underlying your beliefs is a sentiment that white culture is just simply better. That
no, Senator, I have to
superior.
disagree with that.
But you haven't been able to really coherently answer any of my questions about how you define white culture, how you define the threat that's posed. I appreciate you being very honest that you believe that white Americans are subject to greater amounts of discrimination in this country than black Americans. I do not think that's a sentiment that is shared broadly on this committee. It is all what makes you just wildly, wildly unqualified to take this post. I'm well over my time. Thank you.
Well, Senator, I do appreciate you letting me actually respond. I genuinely do. So thank you.
And there you have it. Look, he went on to have a very similar exchange with Senator Tim Kaine and then one with Cory Booker, where Cory Booker just lit into him. I don't even think it's necessary to even play those. I think Chris Murphy did a very good job of just exposing him. And look, his answers to those other senators were just as ludicrous, and I am in agreement with them. I cannot believe that we are at a point in this country, considering everything we have gone through, all the lessons we have learned, how far we have come in civil rights, that they would have the gall or the audacity to nominate someone with those beliefs and have them sit in front of a Senate subcommittee to be appointed to a very pivotal position in this country. Now, if that doesn't show you who this administration is, I don't know what does. This administration, white is right. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.